Michelle, can you hear me?
Actually, I've got Bobby as the
I
person.
can indeed.
It says you cannot start your video because the host
Oh,
is.
crap. That's me. One sec.
All right.
All right. You should be able to start now.
There we go.
Councilmember Hawk, how are you today?
You're on mute.
I'm waiting to see. Now, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm waiting to get an appointment for this foot to be x-rayed.
Oh dear.
I do think perhaps it's broken, whatever. I can't stand on it very long, but I keep going, but every place I go, I have to sit down. It's like,
Marty, I'm glad I'm not the person you kicked. So hopefully that heals fast.
yeah, right. Yeah, get out of my way if I'm not in a good.
Yeah. Well, Marty, we're still waiting for Councilmember McKim to arrive. He's parking right now, so we'll get the meeting started in a second.
Yeah.
Marty, is some of that residual from where you got hurt in the courthouse?
Beg pardon?
Is some of that residual from where you got hurt in the courthouse?
Do you remember when I broke my
That
foot
was terrible.
at the courthouse? And then they wheeled me around in a chair to go ahead and upstairs and attend the meeting, which I did. And then my foot was broken. I drove myself home from getting it, whatever.
Same foot or different?
It's the same foot and in the same spot. And so I might have just fractured it. I don't think I could stand on it at all if it was broken, but I just keep hobbling around. But
Takes time to be able to keep the swelling down so it doesn't swell up into a big ball.
well, it was kind of like that. Like 3 days ago, it was so swollen, I couldn't get my shoe on at all.
Whoa.
But yesterday at the Elks, I won the, they were putting money in for cancer research. And if you won, you got this walking cane. And I won.
That's
And
funny.
so my daughter said she thought everybody putting in the thing for the, for the drawing was putting my name on it because they were tired of seeing me.
Just so you know, we can't watch you on the screen and look at the camera at the same time. So
I know,
if
you
see us looking
understand.
around, I know, I just don't want you to think we're being rude.
Yeah,
rude.
well, in many meetings where you're speaking and it looks like I've got my back to you, it's because I'm trying to read what you're saying.
Okay.
Bobby, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Pick a seat wherever you want.
Yeah.
You're at the right place at the right time.
All right.
We got room over here, down there.
Head of the table, anywhere, that's just-
Well, the thing of it is that the camera is right here, so there is no head of the table. And so we are in essence at a round table.
Can't be having that shit.
Oh, we're recording.
And we're kind of. She can't be looking like. Supermodel in that fashion.
I know you weren't talking to me.
Dude, I was so talking to you. That's a righteous beard.
Thank you, thank you.
I don't think we've met.
Hi, Bobby LaRue.
Peter Iverson, County Council.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I don't know that our paths would have crossed too much over the months that you've been here, so.
I'm not sure it would have.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And just letting that, you Bobby has a 1 o'clock inspection, so he has to leave in the middle of this meeting.
I apologize about that.
That's okay. That's
And I'm
good.
only here for-
That happens. We're waiting for Councilmember McKim to arrive. As soon as he comes, we'll have quorum and we'll get going. But
Right.
word on the street is that he's parking.
Or literally.
There is ample parking around the courthouse.
We're in the parking lot.
You know, I
But-
actually was thinking I was gonna have the same problem and
Hi, Bree.
pulled right to the north side under the shade of a tree.
Oh,
and,
well, there you go.
yeah, It just was perfect.
We're gonna have some of these meetings under the shade of a tree once it gets cooler.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's still hot at 100 degrees.
Hey.
it is.
Sorry.
So you're fine.
Okay.
You're completely fine. You're-
So I'm Peter. I'm the chair. Marty's on Zoom. She's right there.
Yep.
And Jeff McKim just walked in.
Yes.
He's the important.
Can I have your attention just a moment? The owl will pick up conversations. So even if you're whispering, it's going to pick you up. So I'm going to ask that you try to keep your conversations to a minimum unless you are speaking with the council PAC members. Thank you.
All right, given that administrative announcement, I will call this meeting of PAC to order. It is July 5th at noon here, at the Monroe County Courthouse. And it looks like we've got Councilmember McKim here in the room with us, and Councilmember Hawk is on Zoom. That being said, let's go on to item number 2. We have our building department here, Mr. Bobby LaRue, and we're going to review classification issues. Council, would you like to say something?
Yes, all right. Before we dive into the agenda, I guess, I wanted to clarify, just for the record, that Councilmember Hawk has attended the last 2 meetings virtually and would only be allowed to attend this one if she had some reason that falls in the statutory exception. And I believe before we started the meeting, Ms. Hawk referenced a foot injury. Is that correct?
Yes, I fell, maybe the 13th of, well, I can't remember what the day was. I kept thinking, oh, it's nothing. But I cannot, there's some days I can't put my weight on it at all. So I'm trying to rest it. And right now I'm waiting on the clinic to call me back to schedule an x-ray.
Then I think we're good to proceed.
All right,
But
thank you.
could I ask you clarification of this? When you say the last 2 meetings, the last 2 meetings of PAC, or the last 2?
The last 2 PAC meetings, correct?
Okay, because I wondered if it was just virtually any meeting you were supposed to be at, or if they were added together. Not that it'll matter, because there's nothing I'm going to do about it.
That's specific to meeting.
Yes, yes.
And what you can do is just, if you did 2 virtually and you felt like you couldn't do that, you just didn't show up and just didn't do the virtually. And so that's the reason why this whole thing makes no sense. You understand? Because it's just, if you miss 2, or if you do 2 virtually, and then, never mind, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, Councilmember Hawk, we've got a pretty full agenda, and
Yeah.
I think talking with council privately might be a good idea.
And I'm happy to give you a call later if you'd like.
Yeah.
All right, Bobby, I think we're up here. It looks like we have requested and received approval to revise some building department job descriptions. Can you tell us what this is all about?
Sure. As you all know, I started this in January, and there were some, there was not, in my opinion, a great way that the department's operations continued on, right? So I'm learning everything as we go. There was very little done in the way of training the next person, talking to the next person about things like this meeting, and kind of preparing the department for transitions that are going to happen, right? So the discussion was about potentially a deputy building commissioner at that point in time. That's something the department has not had in the past, at least that I've been here. I don't believe that the department has ever had a deputy building commissioner. So the idea then with the deputy building commissioner and kind of looking at the 2 roles together, I'm looking at the other job descriptions, and the other job descriptions didn't do a great job, in my opinion, of taking in the first time inspectors and kind of giving them a path for training and how to advance, and also the next step up, telling those folks how we do the jobs that we do and why we do the jobs that we do. So the entirety of the job descriptions kind of got rewritten to put together hierarchies, maybe a funny way of saying it, but a hierarchy, so that bit by bit, piece by piece, folks that come into the department at the beginning start to understand what we do, and as they master and become proficient in certain obligations of the department, That they're ready to maybe become used to be called senior inspector, now is called a lead inspector for commercial and residential. And then the other part of it was kind of reworking the way that the office, the front end office staff worked to try to break the two responsibilities and kind of in the center, residentially for one side, commercially for the other, but at the same time to create an overlap where both people who work in the front end office understand all of the paperwork, all of the reporting, all of the payroll, so that if one person is gone, there is always somebody in the department to carry on those responsibilities and make sure that all of these things happen timely and appropriately.
Excellent. And so as per our policy, we submitted these 8 classifications to Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy, also known as WIS. And Council Administrator Kim Shell, these came back to us, correct?
Yes, it did.
Would you mind walking us through the recommendations we received from WIS on these?
Those, they were submitted and, they went through the process, you know, they go through and point them. And per the recommendation, which is included in the packet, there was no, change except for the deputy building commissioner, which was a former position that we, modified. And so that position came back as a,
Pat D.
PAC D, non-exempt.
Right.
So that would be the only change with regards to these job descriptions that were formally submitted with the changes.
There was one, if I may.
Yeah.
Just because the building department is not adding additional positions. However, they did submit an amendment to a position that was currently in existence, an assistant,
Administrative assistant.
administrative assistant, and change that to having a second office manager, which ties into what Mr. LaRue was stating before about the need to have always someone there who can handle the public, the phone calls, and understand the processes and the scheduling that is required.
I hadn't made it there yet.
Sorry,
That's
but yeah,
okay.
so that one
Yeah.
is different, but
Just to give you just a smidge of information, last year, our office received over 17,000 phone calls. Of course, there are various lengths of time. Some of them were handled very quickly. Some of them took a lot of time to respond to, and some of them we need to transfer you to the planning department, right? So, sorry. So,
There's one of those calls.
so sorry about that.
That's all right. You can download one.
Right. So, I mean, that is part of the concern here for the front end of the office, just to make sure that the public has what it needs to complete their projects. And there are many times during the year where these two folks will be the only people in the office at any given time, especially July and August, which is always a lot of fun.
Okay. Let's turn it over to my council colleagues, Mr. McKim or Ms. Hawk. Do you have any questions for Mr. LaRue or comments?
Yeah, as you know, so I'm just looking at the existing budget location report and just to kind of make sure I can map everything that we're seeing here to that report. There's a position labeled administrative assistant that is clearly not vacant. There's money being drawn out of it. And then there's another position called secretary.
Yes,
why is there any money coming out of the administrative system? Or, is that? Oh,
If you could speak up so that we can hear, that'd be helpful.
Oh.
Or I don't, however you want to deal with it.
some of the titles in Lao do not currently match the updated WIS. And that's because we have departments utilizing those different titles. And if you change it in one, it changes it across the board. So moving forward in 2023, those titles will match accordingly to the WIS job descriptions.
Okay,
So-
good, because that seems bad to just have
Yes, and so
line
that we,
descriptions.
Right, and we've been working on that, and so that is one of the new things that you will see in 2023 is the job titles will match the salary ordinance as well as the allow reports.
And they'll see those at budget time.
And they'll see that at budget time. You will see that.
So is the intention to make both of those lines
Mhm.
be
Office.
a office administrator?
Correct. One will be a commercial and one will be a residential.
But they'll essentially be kind of mirrors of each other.
Correct.
They'll replace those two lines. Okay.
Yes, and yeah, and in the WIS report, they're classified exactly the same at a comment C, non-exempt. So,
And then, you've got the building commissioner line, and then there's another line, senior commercial building inspector, and that's going to be the deputy building commissioner. That would correspond to that.
I believe so.
That,
Yes.
that is the job description that was altered into the deputy building.
And then after that, let's see, so there are 6 lines. Well, no, there are 5 additional lines. So once we've got the 2 office managers, we've got the building commissioner and the deputy. We then have, six more lines that looks like they're in there.
Right,
Is that-
you'll have 2 leads. One will be a lead for residential, one will be a lead for commercial, and then you'll have inspectors that will fall under those.
Okay, and how many do you currently have 3, right? There's one that's been vacant for a long time, is that?
There is one
Yes.
that has been vacant for, I think approximately 2 years. I can't
Okay,
remember.
but we still budgeted for it, it's in.
Correct.
It's in the salary, okay,
Yes.
got it, thank you.
Are there further comments from members of PAC?
No,
All right, seeing none, I believe that the next step here would be a motion to send to council. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, is there a motion on the floor? Anybody, let's make a motion.
Yes, I move that we forward essentially the WIS report and updated position descriptions to council for approval.
second,
We have a motion from Mr. McKim and a second from Ms. Hawk. And could we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor McKim,
Yes,
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
yes.
motion passed unanimous.
All right, and we'll get that scheduled onto the next council meeting, and we'll have this conversation again with the full council to make sure that there are no additional questions or comments.
can we have let's see, I don't think we have an org chart, do we, or an updated org chart in there?
We don't, we can put one together.
Yeah, can we
but-
put one together for the council meeting?
So basically, the way that we have seen this kind of work, deputy building commissioner would be overseeing the daily activities of all of the inspection staff with my support. And then the office staff would report directly to me and not the deputy building commissioner. Of course, if I'm not there, he would serve, he or she would serve. as-
Michelle, did you hear the request from Councilor
No.
McKim?
I did not.
He asked for an org chart for the council meeting.
It's in the pack.
Oh, okay.
did I miss
I didn't-
Yeah.
I'm almost positive it was in the agenda.
I was trying to look for it.
What page?
In there. You're right, it's there.
Oh,
I got
okay,
it.
sorry. And I updated it per what, the job description that was included.
Yeah, also, I see, thank you.
And everybody's asked for that, the old one and the new one, so they can
There you
see
go.
how you're transitioning.
And for those of you following along virtually, that's, as you can see on page 48 of this meeting's packet.
And then just for the records, I was speaking with Ms. Kim, and we don't want to get this on the council agenda without also being able to include an additional, so I'd like to do it all at one time. So,
I think that's something you would work with the president on scheduling.
okay.
What do you need the additional?
We will need an additional, I would think, in potentially both of those, secretary and administrative, I don't know what's in it.
There's been so many vacancies.
Yeah, there's
I would
many to move
do the
around.
math first. You may not need one.
People who transfer,
Yeah,
Okay.
I suspect you can make it work with that.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
I think just as a clarification, I think as per our policy in the council, I tried very hard not to schedule items on the agenda for council. I let Council President Kate Wiltz handle that. So, yeah. All right.
We'll double check and.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can make the money work.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Didn't even think about that.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. LaRue. Let's move on now to the surveyor's office. Mr. Tron Enright is here with us, and we're going to review another classification review for the professional surveyor position. And Mr. Enright Randolph, can you tell us what this is all about?
Yes, and I think this is. Are we good? Okay, I saw some things moving on the screen.
Yeah.
This is kind of a quick update. The WIS report came back and kind of from our prior discussion here, PAC had approved sending out the professional surveyor job description to have it looked at for salary. And so as you can see, the recommendation is on the screen, and they gave a salary range from 62 to 79. So I came here just basically to give a quick update. I know we talked about maybe just moving straight to a council work session, but I would hate to make it to council and then council asks if it went through PAC and then show back up at PAC. So the goal here is, well, currently at midpoint, we're at 62 to hire in. I hope the 79 is going to entice a professional surveyor to come in. I still think the range here is quite low. But with that said, this was their recommendation. Another reason I'm here today is because of the Form 144, and that I did put the 79 in there for my request for the 2023 budget. So now, all of that to the side, there's some logistics and kind of my coordination with Greg Crone as the building person and now the TS guy. So there's been some shifts there that maybe in 2023, there'll be appropriate space to bring another full-time person in. So my goal is not to come to council this year to fill this position, but budgeted in for 2023. So we could probably most likely be in a good position to accommodate the staff. And this has been an ongoing discussion. So again, there's going to be some, uncertainty there, and we'll kind of address it as we move forward. But I do feel comfortable in 2023 to start advertising and seeing if this high amount on the range could entice a professional surveyor. Outside of that, I'm not too sure what PAC wanted me to bring. What I did bring, though, I just will quickly run through. I'll go ahead and put support with other offices on the side. This is kind of what we're currently doing, so we still have to do all the administrative things. We've been hiring out some of the work that we could do in-house. Now, every agreement I've been able to accomplish, the professional surveyor came back and honored the agreement, but said that they will not be able to do it at that price point. So we're looking maybe more at hourly structure to get this work done versus a flat rate for section corner perpetuation. So we're looking at, 15 to 20,000 per agreement with a minimum of 3 to 4 agreements per year. So, we're easily going to be spending 60 to 70. And this is just really conservative. It could be like upwards to 80 per year to get 75 section corners perpetuated, tied into a boundary perpetuation survey and having geodetic controls on them as well. So basically meeting the same standards that we were able to bring into the office when we had a professional surveyor on staff. Now, that's just the work, the job in the private sector. Having a PS in the county, it is extensively more utilized than just going out there and performing this task. Like on the administrative side, consultation with legal, we've had successful endeavors with parks, planning, building. I think you can kind of run the gambit. Be easier to talk about the offices that we haven't been able to help assist. And then again, here's another way to kind of look at the dollar amount. We put together Monroe County Surveyor Corner Documentation Service Purchase Program. That was the lawyer's. That was the lawyer's name, more commonly referred to as a bounty program. So we will pay about $400 for a known monument, and then kind of doing some perpetuation work and getting that geodetic control. Also, we'll pay them $100 if they just give us a geodetic control and $50 for additional ones. Every surveyor has came and said that this isn't really a good reflection of their work and time spent in the office. So the last one I went through, I think we paid the surveyor click to the invoice here. Well, I think the invoice was around 2,200, 2,300, but when they came back and they kind of evaluated their time and the employees, they were wanting 3,500. So there was a significant increase from, you know, what they think is reasonable with what we have as a pay chart, and what, you know, their time's worth. So again, that's my best material to bring to you for discussion purposes, to kind of get a sense of what the cost is to do this work. I even had a company come back saying they wanted $1,900 per monument. We renegotiated, cut some of the research that they thought was included initially, and we were able to bring that price point down to $950. But with the other two agreements, the price points were at like 500 and 550. So, you know, we're looking at a substantial increase of costs for this service. So I think it's in the county's best interest to have a PS in-house, and we have the equipment. So the operational costs is already built out. And so, you know, versus paying a surveyor $135 per hour and then their crew $100 per hour, you know, we're looking at almost 235 hours for an hour spent with the services agreement approach. I think it's better for us to get a PS in-house and do this work internally. And one other significant thing is they're doing a job, and I outlined the area of interest, right? Now, if this has some uncertainty and they really want to question it, and we need to push a line another 1.5 miles down to really evaluate that point, that's going to be in a form of a change order, you know, or we can't afford it. And then that means, you know, hey, you know, it brings in more uncertainty on that position. And, you know, this is the work that needs to be performed so we can help preserve and protect the integrity of the property rights and the public land surveying system in Monroe County. And that's the city of Bloomington and the town of Ellettsville too. So I'm here for any other questions. And I think this is the quickest I've been able to run through some of the nuances of this, but I've been trying to just focus on costs and what we're already paying out. We have a good cash balance, so I'm almost already looking at 3 agreements moving forward. So I would say easily 75 of what the cash is now currently will be kind of restrained for this year. It's hard to necessarily get surveyors in a timely manner. So we might go ahead and try to do 4 agreements and encumber some funds. So we're already got, you know, the ball rolling for 2023. That's it. All right. For any other questions?
Well, I want to go to Ms. Shell first. Ms. Shell, as per our policy in the council, we did submit a classification review to WIS, and that has come back, correct?
Yes, it has. And they didn't change the classification. They kept it as a special occupation. And they did update the salary range to 62,226 through 79,551, which is up from the 2016 original WIS review that they had done. So.
And that's a significant point. And so in 2016, we started at the low end, and like the high end has only increased incrementally, like about 2,000, and just shows we could have maybe started at the high end. We had someone in that position that wasn't going anywhere for any time in the foreseeable future, but you know, obviously that they had concerns of where the pay was, and you know, I felt if maybe we had someone that was kind of more fluent with their employment, that they might have looked elsewhere instead of being here for the 3 years at the 62.
All right. Well, at this point, I'll kick it over to council members. Any questions or comments? Jeff, Mr. McCammon.
So in 2016, what was the salary?
62.
Yeah.
I
I think that's
think
what it was, but
Okay.
yeah.
And I mean, we know that even at the time, the incumbent was taking a below market salary just for personal reasons. You know, I mean, I think we all knew that we were lucky to get away with the salary at that level. And the position description has not changed, right? So,
Mhm.
so when what you submitted to WIS was the same as the council had already approved in past years. They just made a recommendation for the salary.
Correct.
Okay. So there really isn't a PAC action there, as far as I can
Not
tell. It's
really.
really a matter of how much the surveyor is going to add a request for that position and how much the council will approve.
It's just that that's our policy, is that when they go to WIS, we bring it back to PAC, so.
It doesn't seem like from the PAC perspective, anything's changed. It's same classification, same position description, just the position is valued more in the market.
Any other comments or questions from members of PAC?
Yes,
Ms. Hawk?
yes, this seems like this is a budgetary decision, which is up to the entire council.
All right, and Michelle, anything else to add on this? If there's no action needed from PAC, I think at this point, we'll thank you for your time and your abundant explanations, which we always count on you for. So, thank you.
Yes, he's already
thank you.
put it in his Form 144, so when we do the budgeting, it'll be included in that as well. So this will be a discussion then during budget sessions.
And my goal is to come to a work session, kind of give a departmental update and then talk about some of the nuances here. So the council understands kind of what services we're getting with the PS in the house. And I think that will hopefully help them then determine if they want to support the increase that I'm seeking for this position. And I guess the biggest thing is we're not looking to fill that role until 2023. Sure. So thank you. I appreciate
For your
it.
time.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
I would like to ask that be sent to us in the form of email, because we might not be able to schedule everybody that would like to speak to us at a work session, just in case. So we'll have it.
Okay, and I'm talking about later on, not July or maybe August, hopefully, before budget hearing. I see it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we've heard from our building department, we've heard from our surveyor department, and now it's time to move on to Monroe County Jail, and we have with us Mr. Sam Crow. Always nice to see you, sir. You're joining us virtually. Commander Crow, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
All right, before us, we have a request for a new position and classification review for a programs administrator. Can you tell PAC what this is all about?
yes, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. We would like to create a new position at the Correctional Center for a program administrator. And this person would be responsible for coordinating all of the programs that we have at the Correctional Center and working towards new programs that would be specific to reentry and reintegration for those inmates that we have that are going back into the community. So not only would this person coordinate the programs, but they would also help develop the curriculum, instruct with the curriculum, again, especially for those people in the reentry type programs. Now that COVID is kind of wrapping down and we're getting back to a somewhat normal state here in the jail, we're trying to get our programs back on scale with what we had been doing prior to the pandemic. So I think this person, this type of position would be very beneficial to us. I've had the opportunity to go to several conferences here in the last couple months, and there's a lot of money out there, a lot of grant money for programs. So again, this person would be working towards that grant funding. So we need someone with more specialized training than just a correctional officer doing this. So that's really the main things is the coordination of programs, curriculum programs, and possibly looking into grants to provide a revenue source to let those programs exist here.
Well, excellent. Thank you for that explanation. And that's exciting, not only about being able to do programs, but also grant writing. Michelle, I'll kick this over to you. It looks like we have a filled out new position paperwork here.
Yes. I asked Commander Crowe to complete the WIS. It's a questionnaire based on the job duties, and he did that to the best that he could with the form that we had. And he also included a job description that he had came up with. So with that, those two documents, if approved, will be submitted to WIS for them to create a job description.
All right, thank you, Michelle. I'll now turn it to my colleagues on the county council. Any comments or questions from here? Mr. McKim.
So first of all, I guess this is a question for Ms. Turner King, and this is about you referred to a moratorium on positions, and I guess I want to make sure I understand the scope of the moratorium you're referring to.
And I went back this morning and listened to the council meeting from November 30th of last year when the moratorium was discussed. And there was Ms. Rice at the time presented a memo from WIS that suggested exceptions to the moratorium, which was on a change. The moratorium is in place for changes in job descriptions. In the memo that I found from Ms. Rice, it suggests some exceptions to the moratorium, and one of them would be for creating new positions not currently classified in the system. In reviewing the council minutes, the council did not adopt the 5 set exceptions, but more left it more flexible for PAC to determine. So I think the moratorium only applies to changes in current job descriptions.
And that makes sense with what I remember, because I think the point was just to avoid, having us pass this new plan and have immediately everybody trying to change it.
Correct.
So, okay, the intention, I assume, for this position, if it were to move forward, would be to be funded in the 2023 budget, not to try to create it immediately. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be fine. And as you know, we have a lot of positions open at the jail right now. So even if we could get this position created, I'm sure that we could find money in our existing budget from those openings to possibly help fund it for the rest of this year.
So there are 2 different directions possibly. I guess my other question then is maybe, and this is maybe a question for Councilmember Iverson as much as anybody. How does this fit in with the Justice Reform Committee or Justice Response Committee and its initiatives?
Yeah, and I think this is a good question to ask Commander Crowe. As you know, we're dealing with the different intercepts, the intercept model, and in the PAC packet here, you mentioned that this position could deal with reentry issues quite heavily, and that of course has a lot of overlap with what we're doing with criminal justice. So I guess that was one of my questions: is how heavily will this person work on reentry, and how heavily will this person work on grant procurement?
I think the main focus will be on the reentry and reintegration, probably to the point of daily working on that reentry area or aspect of it. I think there would be a minimal effect for the grant writing or grant procurement, but the main focus would be on the reentry.
So this is really kind of more at the intercept 4, sort of at the end of the chain.
That's right.
Rather than beginning. And what is the scope of the response committee right now? Are you working across all of the intercepts, or are you?
No, the body made up of the council and the commissioners is working on that intercept, whereas some of our colleagues in the court systems are working on the other intercepts. So this would, I think, be a wonderful part of the conversation we'll be having. We have a meeting tomorrow at 4:30 in this room where we'll be discussing some very similar items. So, Councilmember Kim, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. This has a lot of overlap with what that body's doing.
Because I don't have any problem approving this going for classification. I think there's definitely a need. I would like to hear from the committee as to how it fits into the overall series of recommendations that you're working at, interventions.
Well, Commander Crow, if it's okay with you, I'd like to bring this before that body then tomorrow and talk with this. And of course, if you're available, I think it's an open meeting.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Ms. Hawk, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I'm very interested to hear what the court system, the whole justice system has to say about this position. I would think they will be supportive, but we can make up every rule in the book if we don't have the court system working with us. It will not make the kind of difference we might think it would. So I'm looking forward to the time that those things can be discussed as a joint situation. But indeed, we should, in my opinion, send it off to WIS to see where we're going with it. And then it'll be, maybe by that time, we'll have more information.
Well, that being the case, Ms. Hawk, is there a motion on the floor?
I move to forward the Correctional Center Program Administrator job to WIS for analysis and classification.
A second.
Hearing a motion from Mr. Kim and a second from Ms. Hawk, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
motion passed unanimous.
Well, Commander Crow, congratulations. We'll get this off to WIS and we'll eagerly await their response. And in the meantime, I'll make sure that I bring this to the Criminal Justice Response Committee tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you for your service, sir.
And
Oh.
may I also,
Oh, yes, I'm talking.
if there's any positions that are already doing this work, I believe that there needs to be some adjustments there too, if you're going to remove it from the other job descriptions.
Right. We currently don't have anyone doing it.
Okay, thank you. That's sad.
Did you have anything to add?
No, that's what I was gonna ask, if there was any job descriptions that had overlap, we would.
It's just a different skill set than a
Yeah.
CO. Just.
Yeah.
it's just different.
Okay,
Very
Well,
much.
great minds.
thank you, Sam.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, moving on from our jail, we're now moving to the auditor's office. We have Catherine Smith and Brianna Gregory here with us to talk about an assistant county financial director. What do we need to know about this?
Well, this is a new position. It will kind of mirror the property side, which is our goal. I think you're well aware the financial team has a very small staff and we feel we're a bit understaffed, particularly with the extensive audits and reporting that we're now doing. So this will just assist our team, make sure we continue to put out quality work and provide the best service we can. So this position here, basically, well, what we have done, Michelle and I went through the job description for my position and basically added assisting to all of the duties until we can really fine tune what we really the greatest needs, what we'll have this person do. We think this is the best way to go about it. So, I mean, this is accurate, though. They will be assisting with all the financial team duties, and basically all the duties are under me, and I kind of, you know what I mean? They're kind of divvied out around, so,
Sure, excellent.
yes.
For everybody else except for maybe Marty and Jeff, this was Scott Tibbs's position. It was the kind of the entry level position in the department. That was the assistant to the financial director. It had gotten taken out. I think during Amy's administration. Jeff, is that correct? Okay, there was some controversy over how it was withdrawn. I was not involved in that. But originally the 5 positions were accounts payable, which we still have. There was payroll which has moved to the commissioners, but still works with us very closely. There was the ledger manager, and there was a financial director, and there was this position, which was, we kind of called it back then assistant payroll, assistant accounts payable. It was really to sweep the kitchen position. We're looking at a 35-hour-a-week role, non-exempt. This would be the department entry position, and it would be Bree's assistant. So if anybody would need help, Bree could assign this person to help them as well as help herself. This person would not have autonomy and would not have a higher level of authority. So it would be a much lower level position, we expect. We wouldn't want it to be commensurate with the ledger manager or the accounts payable person, people, because this job is not meant to be that level of autonomy. So we're expecting it to come in at the lowest path.
Which would reflect exactly what's happening on the property side. So,
Sure, sure. Michelle, it looks like we have a job description before us, but there's no questionnaire. Do we need a questionnaire for something like this?
No, I have reached out to WIS with regards to this, since we are taking a current job description and just modifying it to create one because of the similarity in the duties. We don't have to do a questionnaire.
Okay, wonderful. And the step before us here is to submit this to WIS if PAC agrees to have them do a classification review.
Correct.
Okay. Any considerations from council on this issue?
Marty's hands up.
Okay, Marty, we'll get to you in just a second. Molly, is there anything we need to be considering here? This is,
I think it falls into the same category as the position that we just talked to Commander Crow about, and there is the moratorium, but council's PAC can consider exceptions to it. And since this would be a new position, I think that would be an exception that would qualify.
all right. Ms. Hawk, thank you for your patience. Go ahead.
Right, well, the reason why I don't think the moratorium would make a difference on this one, because as I understand it, this is being requested to be added to the 2023 budget, not this year's budget. So the moratorium is just for something for this year's budget. Right now, we're talking about new positions for 2023. Do I understand you correctly, Auditor?
Yes, when we originally talked about that moratorium, we talked about a temporary moratorium through until the 2023 budget, so that people didn't come back and expend a lot of money with WIS to correct things that we've already had just corrected that were fresh. And this is Scott new.
So you are requesting this as a 2023 position?
Yes.
Okay, the other question I have is, and I reviewed this, but maybe I missed it. It didn't say that they were going to learn the payroll to assist with payroll, and yet Bree is the backup for payroll. Who's the back? Tell me again who the backup is for payroll.
my understanding is that's Elizabeth. Is that still accurate? So the employee services office, they're back up to each other. So payroll and HR. Is that correct?
So there's two components to payroll. There's the accounts payable part of payroll, and then there's actually the processing payroll.
Right.
And so, so Bree is still responsible for the ledgers and changes to the ledger and all the, what I would call technicalities post payroll. Would that be fair, Elizabeth? Prior to payroll coming out, it's pretty much Jordan unless Elizabeth helps as well.
Correct.
I just, so, the physical entries,
Processing.
make sure that payroll gets out the door is backed up entirely by Elizabeth. I'm sorry to use that term, by HR. Is that
Yes.
okay? So this does not need to be included in that at all, with the exception of.
So we're kind of comparing apples to oranges.
You're
Back in
right.
the day when we had, when we used Harris, everything had to be keyed in. And the issue there was a bunch of human error. Now it's more auditing and changing any
Right.
any basic derivation or deviation from the pay period before. So it's a little different, however, it's extremely similar. Is that fair?
I understand what you're talking about. Okay, just want to make sure that if we needed to include that in any way, we are, whatever we need.
And the
to do.
payroll audits are completely done by the internal auditor. So that is totally not in the payroll department anymore. It's completely taken out so that no one audits their own work, which is what we are now required by GASB, absolutely required to do.
It sounds like a best practice. Councilmember McKim, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, actually, I was just wondering, so how many FTEs would this bring you to? Total, including the audit?
Include me?
Yeah.
Good question. So I'll make it do it real quick. Financial, it would make a fourth one, right? Property is back to 5. Chief deputy and the 2 administrators would be 3 and 1 for internal auditor. So 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 would be 14.
Okay, so that we're
We're
basically.
still not 15. We'll never be back. to
Well, but
15.
we're back to where we were in 2008.
Yes,
That's.
yes,
I pulled up an old
yes,
staffing analysis that I did years ago.
Yes.
And how it was steadily dwindling for about 5 years.
it was
And,
terrible for a while.
And I know, so this will bring us back to 2008 level, okay?
Yes.
Understand that, I'm,
With tons of new requirements and more work, added work, not like just revived work, actually added work.
and you're pretty sure that this may be a legal question, Ms. Turner King, you're pretty sure that this will come out as non-exempt?
I want to say, and I'll answer for Molly, I want to say yes, because it's an assisting position and we're basing it just like we are the property director assistant, and the property director assistant is currently non-exempt.
Okay, he looks like she's,
Yeah, I was just thinking about other positions and similar duties, yeah.
All right, if there are no other questions or comments, and recognizing the fact that there is an ever increasing workload in your department, do you have additional comments?
Well, I just want to say that when we looked at the model that I started with 6 years ago when I became auditor, this is the final piece of, and we really pretty much systematically hit everything that I had asked for originally. This was the last one, and we really couldn't have done this earlier because all the GASB and the special auditing procedures that were so new, a entry-level person, we'd have just kept them confused because we really had to learn it ourselves.
Sure.
And there was cost and a lot of learning, a lot of institutional knowledge had to be gained. So this will be the very last ask I would have of my administration, and there's like 2 years and 5 months left of it.
All right, well, never say never, though.
I hope not. I hope we don't have a bunch of new stuff coming down the pipe, but I can't imagine. I don't know about that part.
Yeah, let's deal with what we have before us today. And given that, PAC, is there a motion on the floor?
move we forward the Assistant County Financial Director Auditor's Office to WIS for classification, position description analysis with favorable, well, no, just forwarding it to WIS.
Second,
Hearing a motion from Mr. McKim and a second from Ms. Hawk, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor Hawk,
yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
motion passed unanimous.
Congratulations.
you.
We'll see what WIS says.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, it's good to see you.
It would be useful to have a org chart on this.
I didn't
Comes
get it
down.
done.
Okay, yeah, when it comes down to coming before council, this-
Okay,
especially if the auditor's office is kind of complicated, so.
right. I realized that after I had already submitted everything.
Yeah, is there more on the agenda?
So,
We're approving minutes and then PAC comments.
I'm just gonna wait.
Great. Let's see, the next item on our agenda is approval of summary minutes as presented. It's in the packet on page 78. PAC, do you have any changes to this? Hearing none, can we approve these by acclamation, or do we need to have a roll call vote?
she's virtual, we have to do roll call.
All right, PAC, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Bring a motion and a second. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Counselor Hawk,
Yes.
Counselor Iverson,
Yes.
Counselor McKim,
Yes.
motion passed unanimous.
All right, lucky number 7 on the agenda, PAC member comments. PAC, do you have any comments?
I do not.
Seeing none, I will adjourn this meeting and we will see you all next month for the next PAC meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Marty. Hope you feel better.
I feel great. My foot hurts.
Oh.